And hi to everyone who's here in person and also anyone who's watching later. Thanks for joining us today. So we'll go ahead and get started. First, we're going to be talking about the our Master's in Animals and Public Policy program. And as most of you are probably aware, the program is located at the Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine at Tufts University. So we're based at the veterinary campus, although Tufts has multiple campuses throughout Massachusetts. And so today, what I'm going to talk about is what is the Center for Animals and what kind of work do we do here, a little bit about the MAPP program, and then I'll talk briefly about some of the research that I do around human-animal interaction, just to give a flavor of the kinds of topics and ways we think about these relationships. And then, of course, we're happy to answer any questions that you might have about the program. So this is the Center for Animals and Public Policy, where Ginny and I are sitting currently, somewhere in one of those windows. So this is our center on the Tufts campus, which is located in beautiful Grafton, Massachusetts, a lovely campus. And our mission at CAP is to conduct work based on the principles that animal well-being matters, animal and human well-being are linked, and we can enhance both human and animal well-being through an improved understanding of human-animal relationships. So we really try to look at the animal and the human's perspective and how those interact. So within the broader context of the Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine, CAP really plays a key role in educating students about human-animal relationships, specifically around public policy that can affect animals and different frameworks for understanding how people value animals. We really try to promote broad discussion of how we understand and apply animal health and well-being. And we also are really involved in many of the school's community engagement efforts. So a lot of the work that we do at CAP is very applied and community-based. We have 4 areas of focus at CAP where our faculty expertise lines up with human-animal relationships, which is my area of interest. We explore the field of human-animal interaction, animal-assisted interventions and animal-assisted therapy, the psychology of the human-animal bond, and the psychological underpinnings of pet ownership. We also have a lot of expertise within the center around companion animal welfare and behavior, understanding how to best support pet welfare, animal shelter policy and practice, and applied animal behavior. And we have courses in those areas as well. We also have expertise in human-wildlife interactions, which can involve human-wildlife conflict, urban wildlife, and policy and ethics of managing wildlife. And then also around animal use practice and policy. So lab and farm animal welfare, those are core components of our coursework for the MAPP program, and also regulation of animals in research and food policy. So these are really the 4 main areas that we cover at CAP. So the goals of the MAPP program, we are really uniquely an animal policy program, and I think that sets us apart from some of the other programs that study human-animal relationships. And we really consider policy to include all the different ways that communities can act collectively. And so we help prepare students to solve these key challenges to the health and well-being of animals through building analytical research and communication skills across a broad range of topics and methods. We expose students to a wide range of animal issues. This is a great program for someone who really would like to get involved in an animal-related career, but may need to experience what some of those careers can look like. And we also encourage students to be able to understand and evaluate multiple viewpoints on a given issue as a way of really affecting positive change. So the curriculum of the MAPP program, we have a core curriculum, which I'll go over in a minute. And then we also have 2 separate tracks that you can choose. The fall curriculum is the same for both tracks, so you don't need to make a track choice until the end of the fall semester. So it's not something that you need to decide before you apply for the program. The externship, the applied track goes through an externship over the summer, and the research track completes a capstone project in the summer and fall semester. And then there are electives that you can take to supplement the core curriculum. So the core curriculum involves 2 courses called Animals and Society that are really broad-ranging. They go in the fall and spring semester, broad-ranging courses that are an introduction to policy and different animal issues with subsets of topics on wildlife, companion animals, farm animals, lab animals, and then also a human-animal interaction seminar within that course that I teach. We also have the Research Methods 1 course in the fall semester, which covers both quantitative and qualitative research skills. The Introductory Statistics 1 course, which is in the fall semester, and then a Public Policy Analysis course in the spring semester. So that's really the core coursework that everybody takes. Then in the applied track, they take the core curriculum plus a spring elective on communicating policy positions, and then also the summer externship, which I'll show some examples of that later on, but a number of different ways this can look, often working within a nonprofit, a government organization, really getting some applied experience in your area of interest. And then there's also the opportunity to take electives. There are lots of different choices of electives. The research track takes the same core curriculum, plus they also take a more advanced statistics course in the spring and a research methods course in the spring that is focused on developing their research proposal. And then they conduct independent research over the summer and the following fall to complete the program. So in the applied track, the program is 12 months. It's September through the following August. For the research track, it's typically 16 months, so September through the following December. Here are some examples of some of the electives that we have in the program: animal law, wildlife in captivity, animal welfare. We have several animal behavior focused electives. We also have a number of electives that are focused on animals in the community and community-based service. Here is just a small subset of some example externships that our students have had in recent years. As you can see, it's really a broad ranging in terms of topics, whether it's working in an NGO or at a government organization or something like a therapeutic riding facility. So we really help place students in an area that's going to get them experience working in the type of career that they would like to have. So we help students line up these externships. Here's some examples of research projects. As you can see, they range in species from seals to cows to horses to cats. So all kinds of different types of connections to human-animal relationships broadly. And for the research track, you would be matched with a research mentor who hopefully has the same area of interest that you have that can help mentor the project. So where do MAPP graduates go with their degree? I think one of the most interesting things about this program is how many different types of careers MAPP graduates go on to do. There's not just one career path, lots of different options. So we have a number of alums who work in animal protection or conservation nonprofit organizations, who work in humane societies. We do have a small subset of students who go on to further graduate training, such as veterinary school, law school, go on to get a PhD. So the program does prepare you well for that. Also, government service, research compliance, so all kinds of different careers. Here's some examples of some of our alumni who work for, again, different types of nonprofits, who work for government organizations, so nice range of careers. There are a lot of MAPP alumni out in the world, and often we find that our students go on to work with our alums, which is always great. So the application deadlines for the program are February 1st and April 3rd, and you can find more information here. I'm sure Jenny will put the link in the chat as well. So if you have any questions about the application guidelines, we would be happy to ask. So I'll go back to that. But we do review the applications at these two different cycles. So does anyone have any questions about the program thus far? Give everyone a second to think of their questions. Okay, I don't see any. Oh, we got one in the chat. Okay, great. Yes, there's a question about in-person classes. Yes, all of the classes are in person. Yes. We do occasionally have a guest speaker who's geographically far away, and so we do utilize Zoom in those cases, but it is an in-person program on the Grafton campus. And there's typically classes in person every day but Thursday, although the schedule has changed a little bit year to year, but there's typically one day where there's no in-person classes, but yeah. Great. Any other questions? Yep, so I had a question about if you have interest in a particular topic, should you talk about it in your personal statement and research interests? Yes, definitely. We love in personal statements to hear about why you're interested in the program and how you feel it will meet your personal and professional goals. So yeah, that's great. I will say, and give everybody another minute if there's any other questions, but the program is very hands-on in terms of contact with the faculty members and with your other cohort members. So we keep the program relatively small. So you do have a lot of interaction with the faculty and so that's one of the great parts about it being in person is you really get to develop these relationships. You get to meet people who are working in the fields you're interested in and network with them. So it's a very network intensive program. I had a question about how many students we're accepting for the fall class. It ranges. We have had classes from anywhere from 12 to 18 students. It depends on the year, but that's around the ballpark. We have 15 students this year, just for point of reference. So we keep it small so that we can have those personal interactions with students. Okay, well, thanks for the questions. If you have any others, as you think of them, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the research that I do now, but if you have any other program related questions, please feel free to plop them in the chat or I'll have some time at the end. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what exactly I do in the MAPP program. And if you're interested in some of the other faculty, we have recordings from other webinars for their interests. So for example, you're really interested in wildlife, you should go back and listen to Dr. Rutberg's webinar. So I teach in the Research Methods 1 course. I co-teach that with Shauna Dallingoyer, who's another one of the faculty members. And then I also teach the Human-Animal Interaction Seminar in the Animals in Society course. I also help direct the Tufts Initiative for Human-Animal Interaction, which is our cross-university initiative related to all kinds of work connected to human-animal interaction. I'm also one of the faculty advisors for Tufts Pause for People, which is our therapy animal group here on campus, and that's something you can get involved in as a student. I also conduct research on a number of topics related to human-animal interaction. I am a developmental psychologist by training, so my area of focus is youth development and more specifically adolescence. So I do a lot of research around the role of pets in adolescent development, animal-assisted therapy for youth with social anxiety. I also have research related to human-animal interaction and positive youth development. And then I work with Dr. McCobb and Shauna Dallingoyer on some work related to equity and access to veterinary care. And so I also mentor MAPP student research program projects frequently that are related to human-animal interaction. So I really come from a psychology background. That's sort of the lens that I apply to this work. But I think one of the great things about being at the veterinary school is we have lots of different people with different perspectives and different disciplines who are all bringing different knowledge to bear on these different topics. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about our research around human-animal interaction. So what exactly do we mean by human-animal interaction? It's really this interestingly broad concept. Um, the human animal bond is really a mutually, this definition says beneficial, but at the very least, influential and dynamic relationship between people and animals that's influenced by behaviors that are essential to the health and well being of both. And I think this is a really important framing for studying human animal interaction, that it involves both the people and the animals and understanding the impact on both. So human animal interaction is this really broad term that could actually cover pretty much everything we discuss in the MAPP program, whether it's human wildlife interactions, companion animals, behavior, zoonotic disease transmission. I mean, really broadly, all of this falls under human animal interaction. But what I study in particular is more of the psychological and interpersonal aspects of human animal interaction. So, primarily companion animals or pets who live in our homes and assistance and therapy animals. So, that's really the niche that I focus on in my lab. So the science of human-animal interaction has really been growing exponentially over the last several decades. We have seen a huge uptick in the number of research publications, and the quality of the research is just getting better all the time. So it's a really exciting time to be in this field. And there's lots of different research that intersects with human animal interaction, whether it's animal assisted interventions, understanding the mental and physical health effects of living with pets. There is a lot of work going on right now around service animals or assistance animals for individuals with disabilities, things like the psychology of human wildlife conflict, understanding caregiver burden and grief from pet loss and pet owners, understanding how human and animal behaviors can interact together, looking at the stress and welfare of pets and or therapy animals, and exploring cross-cultural differences in human-animal interaction. So there's really a truly broad range of topics that can fall under this category, and it's really interesting to explore all these different dimensions of the human-animal bond. So as a developmental psychologist, I tend to take a really systems-based approach to framing research around human-animal interaction. Any of you who might have a psychology background might recognize this as an adaptation of an ecological systems model. But, we're not just looking at a person-animal interaction. There's a whole system of factors that contribute to an animal or human's well-being. I study teenagers, so friends are an important component, but you could put anything sort of in this system: family, community, environment, and of course all of this evolves over time. So we really try to take this systems approach to our human animal interaction research, where we're trying to understand how all these different systemic factors can influence human animal interaction and how we might understand it. So I'm going to give some examples of what this research looks like. So to start out with, looking at the context of a human pet relationship within the community, family, and what are the environmental factors that might influence that. This is a study that we recently did looking at sociodemographic factors moderating the relationship between pet ownership and health. And this was from a broader study that Tufts is doing related to equity in health and civic engagement. And so what we were interested in was, what are the environmental and individual factors that predict pet ownership? So we know that pet owners may be systematically different from non-pet owners. And what could be some barriers to pet ownership or reasons people may or may not have a pet? And do these characteristics change the relationship between pet ownership and health? We see that there are a lot of mixed findings for whether pet owners are quote unquote healthier than non-pet owners. So what are some of these systemic reasons that this could be the case? So what we found was that out of a sample of about 1,300 adults, whoops, sorry about that, we found about 60% had at least one pet, which is fairly consistent with other national rates of pet ownership. And we found that people were more likely to have a pet if they lived in a one-family detached residence versus multifamily apartment housing. They were more likely to have a pet if they lived in a rural location, and more likely to have a pet if they had children in the home. So this is sort of interesting because it points to there being some structural barriers. So the affordability of pet-friendly rental housing is certainly a huge structural barrier. Also access to green space. And then of course, reasons people might want to have a pet. A lot of people say they want to have a pet for benefits for their children. But we didn't see any differences across other variables such as income. So it may be that that affordable housing is sort of the rate limiting step and not necessarily income. That we see pet ownership tends to be consistent across the economic spectrum. And then when we're looking at when we're looking at this, sorry, clicking ahead there. When we're looking at this, this sort of points to some clear policy implications. If there's an issue with affordable pet-friendly housing, what does that mean for people who would like to have a pet? What about green space? What about structural pieces to the environment? So this sort of points to understanding what some systemic barriers might be to pet ownership. So that's one of the things that we look at. We also look at how the person-animal relationship might exist in the presence of certain environmental factors. And as many of you are, as everyone is aware, we have been in the midst of a 3-year global pandemic, which is a significant contextual environmental factor that can impact the human-animal relationship. So we recently did a study of about 6,000 adolescents looking at during COVID how pet ownership related to different coping outcomes. And interestingly, we found that pet owners had higher perceived stress than non-pet owners. And this is actually consistent with some other research that pet owners feel more stressed than non-pet owners. Now, we don't know why this is the case. Maybe it was in the middle of COVID, they were feeling stressed about caring for their pets. It may be that people who are stressed are more likely to want to acquire a pet to help mitigate those challenges. We don't really know. But dog owners were more likely to use healthy coping strategies. So think about doing positive types of activities that are stress relieving. But this finding wasn't significant when we controlled for demographics, showing that sometimes these systemic differences between pet owners and non-pet owners can explain the health effects. But dog owners were more likely to have a regular walking routine and spend time outdoors. So there may be something specific to dog ownership that can help promote these adaptive strategies. So then looking at how the family and peer networks can impact human-animal relationships and how this looks over time. We have another study that we're currently conducting in collaboration with Wellesley College, where we're looking at, in part, how parents can influence the way in which pets are integrated into the family system. Are there ways that parents are structuring the experience of pet ownership for kids, and how are they viewing their kids' interactions with the pets? And in this sort of qualitative piece of this study, we interviewed parents about their relationships, their kids' relationships with pets. And we found a lot of the benefits were related to companionship and responsibility, but also helping to build empathy skills, that parents really felt like that was an important piece of pet ownership. We found that parents reported that pet-related interactions sometimes help distract kids from screens, from spending a lot of time on screens, and to be more active. And then also some pieces emerged around regulating emotions, that they felt that the pets helped their kids regulate their emotions after difficult events, whether in person or on screens. But there's also some challenges, especially we conducted some of these interviews during COVID, and pets could be a distraction during remote learning. Sometimes there was some tension in families around shared responsibilities or competing for a pet's attention. And then some things around problematic pet behaviors. So, for example, dogs who might be leash reactive towards other dogs, they felt like they couldn't have their kids take their dogs out by themselves. And then, of course, the cost and responsibility of pet ownership. It's really interesting to see that these things can co-occur. We can have benefits, but there's also some challenges. And what are some concrete solutions for trying to mitigate these challenges? And then we have some other research where we are really trying to hone in on that person-animal relationship. So what's actually happening on a more micro timescale? What are those interactions looking like between kids and their pets? So we have a study that's ongoing right now where we are looking at using a technique called ecological momentary assessment to assess the effects of interacting with a pet on physiological activity that's associated with anxiety. So instead of asking people, say, on a survey, once about their relationship with their animals, what we're doing is we're asking them what they're doing with their pets at multiple times a day over the course of several days through an app on their phone. And then we're measuring some physiological parameters through a wristband. You can see the picture of it here. It's similar to a Fitbit, and trying to see whether we can identify if there's any immediate physiological response to different kinds of interactions with animals. So we do this by, again, using this app on their phone, and we're doing this with teenagers. They're really great at having their phones with them all the time. And so we can really capture when they're interacting with their pets and what they're doing at that point in time. And then we measure what's called electrodermal activity, which is a measure of stress response, basically. And we get this sort of continuous measurement here. What we can do is map on, for example, what they're doing here. They're interacting with other people. They're having some social interaction. And we know that that's happening at this time chunk. And then we see that, for example, they start interacting with their dog here, and we might see that their electrodermal activity or their anxiety decreases. They started interacting with their dog, it decreases their anxiety. That shows us that there might be an immediate effect of that dog interaction. And then again, their dog interaction here, we see another decrease in their electrodermal activity. So this allows us to layer on some more details about what the actual interactions are with some objective physiological data. We're also doing this in the context of animal-assisted therapy. So we have a laboratory-based study that we did where we brought people in and had them complete a stress task. So you can see here that when people are resting, their anxiety level is pretty low, and then it jumps way up during the stress task, and then they kind of recover there. And so what we're interested in looking at is what are they doing with the therapy dog during these different tasks, and are different kinds of behaviors predictive of anxiety reduction? So for example, we're looking at the stressor here where they're increasing their anxiety. And what we can do is code their behaviors. What are they doing with the dog? So for example, are they touching the dog? And how long are they touching it for? And then what do we see happen with their electrodermal activity before and after they're interacting with the therapy dog? So that's something we're working on right now, where we are coding the videos of these interactions for dog and human behaviors to see what's the interaction that's happening there between dogs and people. So, that's just sort of a quick example of some of the research studies that we have going on. And many of these are really collaborative among multiple faculty members here at the center, and also with different folks from other parts of the university, like the medical school and the Department of Psychology. So it's a really interesting area of research to be in, and we always love to have the MAPP students be involved. So really, I think what this comes down to is giving students the skills to figure out how we can optimize the human-animal bond to create a more equitable world. We always focus on research that has real-life applications. So how will this type of research into human-animal relationships allow us to make the world a better place for people and animals? And how can we use science as a tool to help create policies that will make the world a better place for people and animals? We really view the MAPP program as being a way to give you a lot of different tools in your toolbox. Some people go on to do research in their careers. Some people go on to do really applied work, but all of these tools help you to utilize science to create evidence-based policies. So with that, I'll leave a little bit of extra time in case anyone has any questions about either the research that we do or the program or any other questions that you might have. And you can always feel free to follow up with me via email, or if you have any questions about, well, you can set any questions to me, but also if you have programmatic questions about the application, you can also reach out to our cap@tufts.edu email address. Does anyone have any questions? Let's see. We had a question about if there's been any modifications of the timeline of completion for those students currently working full or part-time. Right now, it's challenging, and I know a lot of people, have lots of different things that they're balancing. It is really a full-time program, and because of the way the courses are structured to interact with each other, we don't currently have a part-time version of the program. We do have students from time to time who work like very part-time while they're doing the program, but it definitely is challenging because it's structured to be a full-time program. Any other questions? We do try to get a lot in a year. So a lot of master's programs are 2 years long. So we try to really maximize the time so that you're getting a lot of content in that one calendar year. Any other questions?
There was a question about, do we typically take on research assistants?
I guess it was the question about inside or outside of the MAPP program. We do sometimes have research, it depends on whether faculty members have grants to support research assistants, but we do sometimes have that as part of the research track or just other opportunities that students can get involved with. So yes, the short answer to that is yes, but it looks different depending on what the project is and sort of what the timeline is. Okay, I had a question. Do students frequently publish their work from the program, or is that available in conjunction with the professors? Yeah, that's a good question. So the idea is that at the end of the research, if you do the research track, at the end of the research track, you would have something that is in a form to be submitted to be published. It is not a requirement that you publish it to complete the program, but that is the idea, that the final product is publishable. So yes, that's the goal. So it can be a great choice for students who want to go on to a research-focused career or go on to get a PhD. Those are all great questions. Okay, well, I will hang on for another minute in case anybody has any other questions. But otherwise, thank you for joining us. And if you think of something later, feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you, Megan. I was just going through my list of typically asked questions to see if a lot of people have asked the typically asked questions.
That's great.
One question we get a lot actually is, what do students usually do for housing? And
oh, yeah.
We do have the vets. So we have different types of students here. We have veterinary students who are 4-year. We have residents and interns in the veterinary program, and they're usually here for about a year, which works with the timeline as the master's program. So we have two other master's programs. So between the 3 of them, the vet students have like a wiki page, and then which is shared with us. The residents and interns, we get stuff shared with us from that. And we have a Google Drive Excel spreadsheet that our master's programs, the 3 programs, have access to, where they enter where they've stayed, how much did they pay, are pets allowed, things like that. And then, so that's a resource for incoming students as well, which has helped a lot. I used to get a lot of questions at the beginning of every year about housing, and I haven't gotten many questions since then.
That's a great question. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, everyone.